Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm your host, the first and only book reviewer on YouTube who does not actually read the books he is reviewing. I already reviewed two books about becoming a millionaire, and I've got to say, both of those reviews were a little bit on the positive side. Because the books themselves, while they are kinda disappointing and sometimes silly, they mostly give reasonable advice. And it is very hard to rant about something reasonable. No one wants to just watch an honest review of a good book. Everyone wants to hear me ranting about something bad, because when a guy rants about bad thing, it is funny. So for today's video, I wanted to review the worst rated book on Blinkist money and investments category. And I read a few blinks with very low rating, and unfortunately they are all extremely boring. It's just mostly very obvious advice that is not very funny to talk about. So I was becoming desperate, and I decided, okay, fine, I do not have to be only reviewing books about becoming a millionaire, right? I can review any kind of book. So let's look for the worst rated blink on the entire app. And this turned out to be harder than I thought it would be, because there is no way on this website to sort books by rating, which kind of makes sense. Who in their right mind would want to find the worst rated books? But after looking around manually, I found this one. Let's look at the 4-Hour Body by Timothy Ferriss. If you're confused about the title, which does not make sense, this is actually a reference to a previous book written by the same person, The 4-Hour Workweek, and apparently he just decided that 4-hour is his thing now, his franchise or something. So what caught my attention is the subtitle of this book. An Uncommon Guide to Rapid Fat Loss, Incredible Sex, and Becoming Superhuman. Wow. So we are going to be skinny, sexy, and have superpowers. That's pretty interesting. Let's see if the description will be as jarring as the subtitle. The 4-Hour Body is a collection of research and findings about unconventional body-regulating methods from doctors, scientists, professional sports trainers, and the world's top athletes. These methods are personally put to the test by the author, leading him to unearth life-changing shortcuts to improving his body and overall lifestyle. I don't know much about athletic shortcuts, but as Darman said,
there are no shortcuts to success.
There are no shortcuts to success. Maybe this book will prove him wrong. Let's jump into the reading. There are a million different diets out there promising everything from quick and easy weight loss to everlasting youth, and the sheer amount of advice can be overwhelming. Wait, there are diets which promise everlasting youth? I think I need one so that I can actually become a millionaire. I can just invest $100 every month or so, and in a few hundred years I will become very rich. So that is good. I want to try one of these. Let's see if the book talks about this. Where do you start? How do you know which ones really work? Thankfully, all the hard research is already done for you by the author, who tried out numerous diet plans and exercises, gathering information from his personal experience to come up with body hacks that you can easily implement in your daily life. Okay, so anyone who is familiar with the way science works would immediately understand that this is not scientific like at all. Just one test subject, the author himself, without a control group, without any real way to distinguish between short-term effects of what he is doing now versus long-term effects of whatever diets or exercises he tried before. Is the efficiency of those diets and exercises backed by actual evidence? Oh. Backed by evidence from a wealth of sources, these blinks provide you with some of the main techniques the author discovered for losing weight, gaining muscle, improving your sex life, sleeping better, and boosting your athletic performance. So yeah, the book actually uses some scientific data. That's good to know. Let's see what we learn. First, how to cheat sleep and be completely functional throughout the day. Okay, this one is actually big if true. I love to sleep. This is my second most favorite way of spending time, but I could definitely use some extra few hours in a day that I could spend on making YouTube videos, or doing something fun, or maybe doing something useful, who knows. That said, I doubt that sleep can be cheated. Sleep is frequently treated as something that you have to do, but you would really rather do something else. But normal sleep is important for your brain health. During sleep time, your long-term memory forms, brain cleans itself up from all the toxic chemicals that's built up over the course of the day. So you have to sleep, and you have to sleep a relatively long time. If you don't do that, you're likely to experience some consequences. But alright, if the author discovered something super cool that allows you to sleep just a few hours a day without any adverse effects, then this is great. The second thing we will learn is the secret to the female orgasm. So I'm a bit confused here. Am I going to experience female orgasm? I heard they're pretty good, so yeah, I'm stoked, but I'm a little bit skeptical here. Finally, we'll learn what you should eat if you want to lose weight. Great. Usually when people talk about losing weight, they tell you what not to eat. The book will tell me what to eat, and I will eat that and I will lose weight. This is the best way of losing weight. Sounds exciting. I didn't see anything about everlasting youth or superpowers, but maybe the book is just being a little bit shy. Maybe these things will come later. So let's jump right in. To become good at what you do, you need to dedicate yourself to the task. That is why for a decade the author offered himself up as a test subject for unconventional fitness methods to discover the most effective way to achieve a good body. The first sentence, the need to dedicate yourself to the task, is hard to argue with. It's not a super original thought, but okay. But the second sentence, in conjunction with the first one, makes no sense because first, don't do that. Don't become a guinea pig for some unconventional methods. Certainly not for 10 years. I would imagine if you tried a lot of unconventional methods to hack your body, sleep, and stuff like that, you'll probably be in a pretty bad shape right now. Not healthy at all. And second, what exactly are you trying to become good at? Because what you've been doing is you've been a lab rat. So you dedicated yourself to the task of being a lab rat and you became good at it. Cool. You are a very nice lab rat. Congratulations. Okay, let's move on. What the author learned during those 10 years was the importance of the minimum effective dose, MAD. Basically, the minimum amount of effort that would produce the desired outcome, and anything more than it would have an unfavorable effect. Okay, that makes sense. The body can only grow muscle or lose fat at a certain rate. If you push yourself harder, you will get trauma instead of improvement. Essentially, the idea is you should use the most effective method of achieving your goal in the exact dose that allows you to maximize efficiency without hurting yourself. Sounds perfectly reasonable. But unfortunately, we cannot begin doing that just yet. Before you can put the MED into practice, you need to first experience a Harajuku moment. This refers to the instant when you realize that you need to do something. Oh yes, the legendary moment when you realize that you need to do something, or as the wise Japanese call it, Harajuku. I've never had one of those before. Realizing that I need to do something? Wow. That's a very novel concept to me. If you are unfamiliar with this Harajuku moment term, you're not alone. Turns out it's basically just a local meme for the author and his friend who went shopping in Tokyo once on Harajuku Street. Oh, hence the name. When he was trying out the clothes, he didn't like his looks in any of them since he was a bit overweight, and at this moment he firmly decided to lose some weight. First of all, you don't need to lose weight to feel yourself confident. You can love your body in any case. But your body, your choice. If you feel like you need to do that, definitely try and do that. What I don't understand is why we need this kind of revelation to start applying this minimal effective dose thing. I was sold on this idea the moment I was introduced to it. Work out smart, not hard. You don't need some extra motivation to start doing it. Why was this whole Harajuku story in the book then? Guess the author just wanted to fill some pages. Let's move on to the weight loss advice. Here we have so-called slow-carb diet. By using it, within 30 days, the author managed to drop 9 kilograms without exercising once, which sounds pretty good. The diet prescribes 5 rules. First, no white carbohydrates. That's all types of bread, rice, potatoes, pasta, and cereal. I've heard this advice before. Nothing unorthodox here. Let's move on. Eat main proteins like eggs, beef, pork. Okay, he just lists every type of meat. Legumes like black beans, red beans, soybeans, blah blah blah. And vegetables. Alright, so you need to eat protein and veggies, and avoid fast carbs. Pretty standard dietary advice. Avoid drinking calories in the form of milk, fruit juices, and soft drinks. Instead, you can drink large quantities of water, unsweetened tea, and coffee. 1 or 2 glasses of red wine per day are okay, but you should keep away from beer. This is so funny because this book describes like this very healthy diet, and then, yeah, but you can drink a couple of glasses of wine, it's okay. Let's move on. Don't eat fruit, as many fruits contain fructose, which is a type of sugar. Oh no, I thought fruits were a healthy snack. Guess it's just baby carrots for me from now on. Tomatoes and avocados, however, are exceptions to this rule. Maybe they don't have a lot of sugar, but as far as I know, avocados can be dangerous. There is this weird wooden ball inside each of them. Apparently on avocado factories, they insert this little wooden ball inside each avocado. I don't know why they do that, but you can choke on it, so be careful. The final rule is to allow yourself a cheat day, where once a week you get to eat anything you want, even pizza or beer. This is because binge eating once a week increases your metabolism and stimulates fat loss. I don't know how scientific that is, but I approve it. Okay, what's very surprising to me is just how perfectly normal this diet is. I expected something experimental and unorthodox, like eating raw meat and tree bark blended together in a smoothie or something. But instead, it's just so uninspired, as if ChatGPT wrote this diet. Basically, it's just a bunch of very common advice. Not to say it's a bad diet, I cannot really comment on that because I'm not a dietologist, but since there is nothing crazy here, you can try it if you want and see if it works for you. Moving on, we have a chapter about exercise. But first, let's meet Tracy Rifkind. For most of her life, she has been overweight, and at 41 years of age, she weighed 111 kilograms. Tracy dreamt of visiting Italy, but her obesity kept her from fulfilling that wish. What do you mean it kept her? You can still fly to Italy if you weigh 111 kilograms. It's not like some crazy weight that confines you to your bed. Then Tracy was introduced to the Russian kettlebell swing, which is apparently the most effective way to lose fat rapidly, and was created by Czar Horton, an ex-firefighter from the Albuquerque Fire Department. First of all, I have no idea why some guy from Albuquerque, who is not even Russian, called his invention Russian kettlebell swing. If you figure it out, please tell me in the comments down below. I'm genuinely very curious. So anyway, if you dream about visiting Italy, but you have some curves, then apparently the way to lose those curves is to do the following. Position yourself so that you're holding the kettlebell between your legs, then bend down, and then when it touches the floor, lift it up. Repeat 3 sets of 5 deadlifts, making sure your head is always facing forward. This is the place where you would expect me as a YouTuber to try it out. Unfortunately, I do not own a kettlebell, and I do not want to buy one because I would have to bring it home in my hands, and my hands will tire, and I will be sad. But you can Google this exercise if you are interested. It doesn't sound too crazy to me, so I don't think you should refrain from it. But what I want to know is how efficient it is. Following these 3 steps, training twice per week in sessions of 15 to 20 minutes, Tracy lost more than 45 kilograms in weight and 20 kilograms of fat in just 3 months. Wait, if she only lost 20 kilograms in fat, but 45 kilograms in total weight, then what did she lose other than fat? Like her muscle? Or, I don't know, her bones? Her hair? I always assumed that our body consists of the vital organs like heart, intestines, spleen, and stuff like that. Then you have your skeleton, then you have your layer of fat, and finally you have your skin and hair. And when you exercise, your fat layer gets thinner, your muscles grow, and the rest basically remains the same. But apparently you can lose 25 kilograms of something other than fat when you're exercising. So if you have any idea what she lost other than fat, Please let me know in the comments. I will be very concerned for this woman unless you can convince me that these 25 extra kilograms are not vitally important organs or something. Okay, another exercise that the book recommends is Occam's protocol method, which is not described in much detail, but it involves weightlifting and squats, and sometimes combining both. Then the book states that by switching back and forth between Occam's protocol method and the Russian kettlebell swing, some guy managed to gain 4.5 kilograms of muscle in just a month. Again, sounds good, but it's just one guy. We don't know what diet he had during this exercise, so it's impossible to say how it will affect you. But it doesn't sound too bad, so you might want to Google it and try it out. Now that we are all skinny and muscular, let's go straight to sex. But first, a little bit of sad news. According to sex researcher Sheer Height, more than 2/3 of American women fail to reach orgasm during intercourse. And one sexologist found that almost 50% of them couldn't orgasm at all. This means I'm not so special after all. If half of women cannot experience female orgasm, and I cannot experience female orgasm, then at least half of all women are in the same boat as me. So I feel a little bit less alone now. But this is still pretty sad, so let's see if we can fix that. Meet Nina Hartley. Hi Nina, nice to meet you. Hartley has starred in over 650 adult movies and is a well-known star in the industry. I have starred in like 3 YouTube videos and no one aside from my friends watched them. So I guess she is more successful than me. You didn't have to rub my face into that fact, Nina, but alright, I forgive you. And then there is Lexington Steele, the only male porn star to be awarded the Oscars of porn 3 times. Steele stated that the best sex he's ever had was with Hartley. Okay, I think we didn't need to know that. The book then describes one sex position that's supposed to help women achieve an orgasm. I'm not going to go into much detail or recreate it into a funny sketch or something, but the gist of it is the woman should put a pillow under her lower back and the man should move his hips in a circular motion. So that sounds good, but what if you don't want to have sex? Well, in this case, you should use an innovative solution to increase your libido. Eat at least 800 milligrams of cholesterol, 4 hard-boiled eggs for example, a few hours before bed, one night before you want to have sex. That requires some serious planning skills. You know that you are going to have sex tomorrow, so you are preparing yourself for 4 hard-boiled eggs, and I assume like if you are living with your partner, then you both eat eggs, so you'll need to prepare 8 hard-boiled eggs for your dinner. And then eat it, and then have sex next day when you are just dripping with libido. This is supposed to work because cholesterol is a precursor to the sex hormones, which control the sex drive. Now, if you are vegan or just don't want to eat 4 hard-boiled eggs, then I guess no sex for you. Okay, so we are skinny, we are muscular, we have incredible sex, we eat a lot of eggs. The only thing left on our agenda is to develop superpowers. And the first step to that is to cure your insomnia. And what better way to do that than to take a cold bath 1 hour before you go to bed? No, seriously, that is what book suggests. Fill a bathtub with 2 to 3 bags of ice and then sit in it for 10 minutes an hour prior to sleeping. This was suggested by a professor of sleep biology class at Stanford, so maybe it could work. There are a couple of problems with it though. The first one, not everyone has a bath. I don't have one, I just have a shower cabin. Maybe a cold shower could work the same way? Except usually a cold shower is something that people take in the morning to help them wake up, not to help them to go to sleep. I also can hardly imagine sitting in an ice-cold bath for 10 minutes. This would be incredibly uncomfortable. I mean, if you have exhausted all your other options, I guess you can try that, but I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, now we know how to fall asleep quickly. What about sleeping less to save time? Personally, I am completely unable to function if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, and I love sleeping too, so sleeping less is not that lucrative for me, but let's still see what life hacks the book suggests. Aim for 2 hours of rapid eye movement or REM sleep daily, rather than the classic 8 hours of shut-eye. First, a quick introduction for all the New Yorkers who watch me. You get it? New Yorkers? Because it's the city that never sleeps, so New Yorkers don't know how to sleep or what sleep is. This is a very funny joke. Sleep is a complex process. It's not just laying flat for several hours. It consists of several cycles, and each cycle comprises several stages, and each of them is pretty much not skippable. You cannot just skip everything except for the REM sleep. You also have to go through the light sleep and deep sleep stages. So during the REM sleep, your brain activity is at its highest, you're experiencing dreams during this stage, and normally it takes about 25% of our sleep time. But the book suggests that you can trick your body into entering the REM phase more quickly by making it believe it won't get enough sleep. Okay, how to do that? You can perform this REM hack with the Everyman method, which allows you to feel fresh and awake on only 5.2 hours of sleep each day, by having one core sleep of 4.5 hours and 2 further 20-minute naps. The Blink does not deliberate on that for some reason, but I googled it, and here's what I found on the Sleep Foundation website. This sleep schedule includes sleeping for 3 hours during the night and supplementing with 3 20-minute naps throughout the day, for a total of 4 hours of sleep each day. Apparently, there is no consensus among the experts on how to actually use this method, which is a great sign for sure. Maybe we should try another method? Alternatively, you can use the Uberman method. Thank God they didn't name it the Ubermensch method, which would invoke some pretty bad associations. This method instructs you to take 20-minute naps once every 4 hours, 6 times a day. This description seems to be consistent with the description on the Sleep Foundation website. 6 20-minute naps are spaced evenly throughout the day, 2 hours of sleep in total. So this method is more precisely defined, but it sounds much more extreme too, just 2 hours of sleep, with no more than 20 minutes of sleep each time you go to sleep. Also, if you have insomnia and have troubles going to sleep, you will have to sit in an ice cold bath 6 times per day. It is important not to go over the designated 20 minutes, just as it's important not to miss a nap by more than 30 minutes. The hardest part will be the first 2 weeks, as your body starts to get used to a new sleeping pattern. The hardest part to me seems to be achieving the precision that's required here, because when I go to sleep, I never immediately fall asleep, no matter how tired I am. So, in order to sleep exactly 20 minutes, you would need some kind of adaptive alarm clock that will detect that you have fallen asleep and then will wake you 20 minutes from that moment. I've tried fitness bracelets that claim to keep track of my sleep, and at least the model that I tried was bad at it. It just considered me asleep when I was lying in bed. So, I don't know how it's possible in practice to use this method. Even if you can somehow achieve this level of precision, if you can train yourself to fall asleep immediately after you lay down and then wake up 20 minutes later exactly. This sleep schedule is going to have a huge effect on your lifestyle, because you won't be able to do any continuous activity for more than 4 hours, which sounds very restrictive. I understand that this is probably developed for people who do not work 9-to-5 jobs. But even then, you need to structure your whole schedule, your international flights, for example, or any activity in such a way that you are in a place where you can fall asleep for 20 minutes at the end of each 4-hour period. And certainly no essential worker can use this schedule, because there is no way to just ask for 20 minutes to sleep during your shift. But alright, let's assume that we've solved all of these problems. The important thing is, does it work? Does this method actually allow you to sleep just 2 hours a day without any negative impact on your health? Here is a quote from the website. Research on the efficacy of these specific sleep schedules is very limited. Aside from people's personal reports, there does not appear to be any evidence that polyphasic sleep schedules are more beneficial than a monophasic sleep schedule. Okay, so that means this whole polyphasic sleep thing is just a pseudoscience, and people just convince themselves that they are actually very well rested while they are walking around as zombies. So I would definitely not recommend you to try this. Moving on to other body hacks. Having a high libido and sleeping just 2 hours a day is all well and good, but what if all I want is jump high? Not to worry, the book will teach you how to jump higher. Meet Joe DeFranco, an expert who can increase an athlete's vertical jump in only 2 days. After being trained by DeFranco, the author increased his vertical jump by 3 inches. This is pretty cool, I guess. Most of the life hacks in this book are targeted at the general audience. A lot of people want to lose weight, or gain more muscle, or sleep less, or have better sex life. But I don't think it's a very pressing concern for the majority of people to learn how to jump higher. This is an oddly specific problem that very few people have. I won't go into much detail describing this technique, but basically you need to hold your arms over your head and use your upper body strength to swing them down, and that's how you jump high. Right, now that you've learned how to jump, what about learning how to run? At least that's a more practical skill. If you do not know how to run, then you're in luck. This book teaches you the pose method. Is it pose or pose? No idea, but this technique was created by Nicholas S. Romanov, like the last Russian emperor? Okay, here is the technique. Build speed by using gravity and leaning forward instead of being fully dependent on muscular exertion. It's just Naruto running, right? Make contact with the ground using the balls of your feet. Haha, the book said balls. Keep your knees slightly bent at all times instead of straightening them. Rather than push off with your feet, move your effort toward your buttocks. Okay, so if I understand this method correctly, you need to Naruto run, working with your balls and your ass on slightly bent knees. So this is just how I am going to run from now on. Thank you, book, and thank you, Nicholas Romanov. If only you knew how to do that in 1918, you would have outrun the Red Army. Right, so if you prefer not to use your balls while you're running, here is another approach. It's called competition conditioning, and instead of practicing running, you practice walking really fast. The objective is to be able to walk a distance of 100 meters in under 23.8 seconds. Oddly specific number. You should train by walking 15 minutes several times a week, trying to walk as fast as possible. So, how does that improve your running speed? The effectiveness of this training technique stems from the walker's strong feeling that the movement is inefficient and the resulting desire to jog. So basically, you're trolling your body. You are trying to move as fast as possible, but you are forbidding yourself to run. And your body will become so annoyed at that it will want to run. So instead of forcing it to run, you kind of give your body the feeling that it's its idea to run, which is pretty creative. Again, I don't know how efficient that is, but you can try that. It doesn't sound dangerous, and it is less ridiculous than the previous method. Alright, running is all well and good, but what if you find yourself in the water? You cannot run in the water, right? Fortunately, the book can also teach you how to swim really fast. And no, the trick is not to trick your body into thinking that you're drowning so that your body will save itself by swimming really fast. It is the total immersion technique, which is just the basic stuff that any swimming coach would teach you. Keep your body straight, stretch your arms, breathe when you are turning your body to the side to make a stroke, increase your stroke length instead of increasing stroke frequency, etc. So nothing crazy here. If you want to learn how to swim, I guess you should just go to a swimming coach and they will teach you better than a book can. And that's it. This was the whole Blink, so we didn't develop any superpowers. There was some casual fat phobia, so maybe people came here expecting that this book will teach them something crazy that will allow them to fly or live forever. But instead, this is just a couple of tricks on how to lose weight, gain muscle, jump 3 inches higher than you usually would, and Naruto running with your balls. Alright, so I guess it's the time to end the video. Was it educational? Probably. Was it funny? I hope so. If you liked the video, please subscribe and see you next time. Bye.